On this episode of Your Consulting Business Podcast, I'm going to show you how to engage more consulting opportunities by doing less. Welcome to Your Consulting Business Podcast. My name is Russell Pearson, and this is episode number 59. Today on the show, I want to talk about one of my clients and the experience that they had, and also give you some points about how they fixed the situation that they were in. Now, if you haven't subscribed before, I'd love you to hit the subscribe button so you can get more episodes just like this. If you are listening to this in the podcast, you can hit subscribe there. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell. Hit the subscribe button and then the bell. Ding, ding. And ideally, you'll be able to get these pipelined straight to your listening ears or into your viewing face. But today I want to talk about Andrew. Now, Andrew is one of my clients, has been a client for a little while, and he had been on a bit of a drought. And there was a couple of months there where there were not clients coming through the door. And so we really had to have a bit of a heart-to-heart because the things that he was doing were... It wasn't a case of he wasn't working hard enough. He was definitely working hard enough. But when I actually uncovered the details about what specifically he was doing, because I really had to dig into it, he was doing probably about 7 or 8 different activities, which was pulling him in 7 or 8 different directions. He was trying to organize joint ventures. He was trying to actually start new programs. At the same time, he was trying to do done-for-you services and advisory services. And he was doing all these things. Now, he had the expertise to deliver if he actually engaged one of those things, but he wasn't going deep enough into the topic areas of, the thing that he was providing, wasn't going deep enough into a specific audience, and certainly wasn't getting clear enough on a specific offer. So it was doing this shallow sort of approach, but doing a lot of things at once. And so it wasn't really connecting with anybody. And now we had this heart-to-heart, we got really clear, and I said, look, if we can really focus you in for just 2 weeks, I believe that we're going to see a turnaround if you do these specific things. Now, he was all up for that. He was interested in doing those things, but it was interesting because when we did the strategy, he said, I've got all these ideas about what we can do. And I'm like, no. It's not about more ideas. It's about less. We're ideally looking to do one thing. And so what we discussed was, how do we go about focusing his time and his energy, because that was all over the place. He had team members he was trying to look after. He was talking to all these people about all these different things, but he wasn't actually closing the sale. And so we focused in on one very, very clear thing, which was, number one, what did he need to describe that he was doing? In other words,
I wanted to quickly jump in and remind you about russellpearsonprograms.com. We put all sorts of resources specifically for consultants on that page, and if you go there right now, you'll see that there are some new resources available absolutely free for you to download. So go to russellpearsonprograms.com. Now, back to the show.
What's the one thing that he wanted to sell? Right? So what's the one thing he wanted to consult on? Rather than all the different things that he could consult on, what was the one specific thing? And so we got clear on what that was, and we're like, okay, this is going to be a campaign. For the next 2 weeks, we're not going to talk about other things. We're not even going to engage our joint venture partners. We're going to focus in and just talk about this one thing with a very select group of individuals. So let me actually bring the board over, because I think that's going to be useful. There's the board, and for those people on the in the audio podcast, you can absolutely come over to YouTube and check that out as well. But basically, I'm just highlighting the words that I'm saying. So we were looking at the one things, and so I said to him, well, what is the one audience that you want to work with? That's where we started. It's like, who do you want to actually work with? And we got relatively clear on that. It still wasn't as niched as I was like, but it was clear enough. So who was the specific audience? And I think in this case it was business owners, which is a very broad niche. Well, it's not even a niche really. It's a broad audience. But at least we knew that we were talking to them rather than just everybody. Often people start looking at the audience or the market that they're trying to engage from a demographic point of view. So it's like women over the age of 40 or, men between the ages of 30 and 52 or something. Those are very, very broad, because if you actually look at those demographics, you'll find not just millions, but potentially billions of people sitting in those categories. And the more people you have in those categories, the harder it is, because you're spreading and diluting your energy, you're diluting your message, so it's harder to get in front of one specific type of client. Now, the best type of client would be, let's just say, I'm going to use my own name. Let's say you just market to Russells, all right? So, or even more specifically, just Russell Pearson, all right? You market to me. That means that everything that we're going to be designing and doing is going to be specifically tailored for me as an individual. So that's about the tightest niche you can possibly go, the niche of one. We can open up from there and say, all right, we're just going to work with Russells, like all sorts of Russells. And maybe it's just with double S and double L the way Russell should be spelled. And then we go broader and we go, all right, no, we're going to also allow those people who have one L in their name for Russell. Yeah, we'll engage with them. And then from there, we might go to, podcasters who speak on business or whatever it might be, and broader and broader and broader. And so anyway, he got clear on it. At the very least, he was offering a business service. All right, cool. Number 2 is, what is the one problem that we wanted to solve? So let's focus in on one area. Now, his area was actually helping people put podcasts together, which is very, very cool. And so he could have helped them in all sorts of areas. He could have done for you stuff, hosted them, do all these different things. But basically, what he wanted to focus on is helping people get started in that area, right? So that's the problem they were experiencing. They didn't know how to get started and they needed a hand. All right, great. We got clear on the problem. Let's look at the next step, which is really like, what are we offering? And then what is the process we're going to use to engage people? So number 3, what is the offer? And by offer, what I'm talking about is, what is the thing we're going to do, the one thing we're going to do to solve this person's problem? Now, when you're offering things, especially when you don't have a lot of momentum, if you're really starting from scratch or you're getting back into it after a hiatus or whatever it might be more open with your offer, because what we don't want to do is productize our offer to describe, this is specifically what I've got, do you want it or don't you? I think it is far better to identify a specific person who has a specific problem, then talk to them about how they would like to solve it. So they're part of the offer creation process, even though it is broadly around, in this case, how to get started in that podcasting environment, right? So there are specific audience, specific problems, specific offer. Now, the offer itself might not be productized, but the area that you will work in is, right? So that's number 3. Now, number 4 is a specific pipeline and just having one. So how do we want people to engage with us? Do we want people to come into our website and make an inquiry, or would we rather them to go through a specific lead magnet and then land in our world and we can reach out to them? Do we want them to call us? Where is the point of sale that we want people to actually reach? And what are the points along the way that actually add up to that pipeline? So an example of a pipeline is, we will connect with someone on a social media platform, or maybe they've downloaded an ebook of some sort, right? So there's a connect. We then need to qualify them to understand, is they the sort of person we want to bring into our world? If they do qualify, then we move through another process, which is to invite them to something. I find that in a consulting space, especially, inviting someone to something rather than making an offer up front is a much more successful way of bringing people into your world in a way that doesn't feel salesy. And I say salesy in that way because a lot of people consider the word sales to be around these sleazy and slippery type individuals. But for me, sales really is about helping people. And so I reframe that sometimes for people because they're a little bit confused where they say, I don't really want to sell. Well, you do, because that's the exchange of goods and services. But at the end of the day, they don't want to feel like a salesperson. And so the best way to do that is to invite people to steps, because then you feel like an advisor. You're actually allowing people to come into your world. So the invite step is a really important one. You might also, if you're working as an advisor, that you want to do a diagnostic of some sort. So invite them to a diagnostic, invite them to a way that we can assess what's going on for them, just like a doctor, and see how we can help them in the world. And that's where the offer is going to come from, right? So you've got these doctors out there, they're helping with a certain area. You've got specialists and different modalities of medicine. Their offer is in a specific area, but that doesn't mean they're not going to tailor it for the client. And so back to the top, we're looking to work with a specific audience. The reason why we want specificity is because when we're going out to talk to people, we can find them in one spot. If you even just with a business audience, like say small business audience, you go, all right, what are the small business groups in my area? And that's one way of actually niching it down further. Small business groups in my municipality or my state or whatever it might be. What are the business groups? What are the associations? Where do they hang out together? And that's your opportunity as a consultant, is to start engaging in those communities. So we've got a specific audience, so we know where they are. They've got a specific problem. Ideally, you want to work with people on the problem that they perceive, not the problem that you perceive. And I've talked about that many times on this podcast. We want to help them with their symptoms because they're not ready to understand the cause. We want to meet them where they're at. They're currently perceiving a problem. It may be a symptom rather than the cause itself. We don't need to tell them they're wrong. We don't need to be right. We just need to have good bedside manner and say, it seems that this is the problem that you want to fix. Absolutely. What would you like instead? And so we're pacing and leading them to an offer. Now, the offer itself, it's a collaborative process. It's the best type of process, especially for a consultant. If you're going to be working in the space of client engagement, you're wanting to engage more clients, aka sales, saying this the scary S word, but it's client engagement. If you want to engage more clients or you want to acquire more clients, then you're really going to have a conversation. And within the consulting space, the easiest conversation to have is a design or a collaborative conversation about how do we want to work together. And then understanding that there is a pipeline of steps. People come in one way and then they go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, and then eventually they are ready for a sale. Most buyers are not ready to buy on the first engagement. So people are offering them to buy right up here. That's not the best place to do it. You want to step them through a process to understand what is the buying process for these individuals. So what we did for Andrew is we got really, really clear. We got clear on the audience. We got clear on the problem we were solving. We were going to be working in that podcasting space, and we were clear on the method, the pipeline that we were going to use to do some small outreach pieces, the same stuff I teach in the Forge Business Program, but to do these small outreach pieces to engage prospects quickly. And it worked like magic, right? So in the first week, at the end of the first week, he had prospects. He had people that were interested to talk to him about the thing that he had. At the end of the second week, he had already closed one client, and it turned into multiple clients over the following weeks. That was a few months ago, and he is now back in form, and he has these opportunities on a weekly basis now, right? So for some consultants, they don't need that many. Some consultants only want to work with 4, maybe 5 clients all year, and they're going to be larger and bigger engagements. But for others who are actually giving advice or working on a strategic level, usually they're smaller engagements where we come in, we help people identify what needs to be done and get clarity, and then we'll step away. And so you'll need a few more of those to actually hit your income goals and to help as many people as you like. So Andrew's in a much better place now. He's very happy about how things are going. He's back to a financially strong situation. And not only that, he's got confidence back. And that's key. When it comes to client acquisition, sales, aka sales, confidence is king. If you can be in a sales conversation and be very confident about the fact that not only can you help the person in front of you, but also that what you've got is of high value. It's a much better position to be in than actually be second guessing what you've got and going, oh, do you want this? Will you choose this? I don't know. Bringing those fears to the table will come through. You can smell it. And so bringing confidence to the table has the same result, but in a much more positive way. It actually infects the person that you're around with your own confidence, and they feel better about moving forward. Now, if you are in a situation where you are doing a lot of stuff, you're running in 100 different directions at 100 miles an hour, I would like you to stop. Unless you are getting amazing results from all those different directions, I would like you to stop. And I want you to have a look at the metrics. I want you to look at the numbers. Which of the things are giving you the best result? You may be doing 100 things and getting 100 results, but that's one result through each pipeline, one result through each activity. We want to get you 100 results through one activity, because not only does it increase your confidence, but it decreases your effort, and it decreases the amount of energy you have to output to get it done. At the end of the day, energy is all we have as a consultant running a small practice, and that's the energy we've spent in the past, which is the resources, the money, the people that we have around us now, the energy we're about to spend in the future, which is the limited amount of time that we all have. It's 24 hours for those who who wanted me to cut to the chase. And so the real value here is to identify, are you doing too much? Are there too many things that you're doing that are not working, right? So my advice is to have a look at those things that are not working, address either why they were not working or reduce the amount of things so you can focus on one thing, get a bit more specific, get a bit deeper, do the reps, because that's the opportunity with doing one of these things. You get to test it 100 times instead of testing it once in 100 different varieties or methods. You get far better practice by focusing in and actually just spending time on that one thing. Now, if you're not 100% sure of what that one thing should be, you can always actually pick my brain. There is a way that you can get on a 15-minute call with me. There is a brainstorming call that you can jump into on the comments below. And if that's of interest, who knows? I might be able to actually help you define what is the specific one thing for your consulting business. Now, this is all about select. It's about being selective. It's about choosing who you want to work with, how you want to work, when do you want to work. These are all the things that a select consultant does. And if you're not sure about what a select consultant is, my advice would be to go to russellpearsonprograms.com, download the little book that I created on becoming a select consultant, because not only does it give you an easy path to client acquisition, but it also gives you an easier path to having a business that gives you the lifestyle that you love. And that's really the underpinning of that, is being able to select these things in your world. Select the clients you want to work with. How much do you want to actually make? How much do you want to work? And at the end of the day, how much time do you want to give back to yourself so you can spend it where you want? It's been a pleasure chatting to you today. If you are listening to this on the podcast, I'd love you to subscribe. I'd love you to leave a review, actually. And if you are here on YouTube, I'd love you to leave a comment. Let me ask you a simple question. What is the one thing that you would like to achieve? What is the one thing you would like to achieve from your consulting business? Because by defining these one things, it makes the rest so much easier. Everything gets in a line behind your one thing. And there's a great book about this. This is called The One Thing. But this is about what are the individual one things that you'll do to achieve that, to actually get that result. My name is Russell Pearson. It's a pleasure talking to you. Until next time, stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.